Hello everyone. Welcome to the session of Breathing and Exchange of Gases NCERT Exemplar Part 1. Disclaimer. So today's learning objective, we will explore and understand the fundamental concept of the chapter of Breathing and Exchange of Gases by working through the NCERT Exemplar. Index part. So we will have some multiple choice question, that is question number 1 to question number 11. Then there will be very short answer type question number 1 to question number 5. Then there will be some short answer type of question number 1 and question number 2, and long answer type of question 1 and 2. So total 20 questions will be there. So let us take the first question, right? Multiple choice question. Respiration in insect is called direct because this question is coming from the NCERT section 14.1.1, right? And the option for these questions are as follows. A, the cells exchange O2, CO2 directly with the air in the tubes. B, the tissue exchange O2, CO2 directly with the coelomic fluid. C, the tissue exchange O2, CO2 directly with the air outside through the body surface. And D, tracheal tubes exchange O2, CO2 directly with the hemocoel, which then can exchange with the tissues, right? So you can give the answers in the chat box, right? And then we will see the correct answer of this question. The correct answer is the cells exchange O2, CO2 directly with the air in the tubes. So insects have the network of tubes that is called as tracheal tubes that helps in the transport of atmospheric air within the body. So in the previous class we have seen that there are some tracheal tubes, okay, that is also called as a network of tubes that is present inside the body of the insects, right? And that helps the transportation of atmospheric air, mainly the oxygen, within the body. These tubes are responsible for the transportation of air within the body, and these opening leads to the trachea. Now there is an opening, they are talking about that opening. What is that opening called? That opening called as spiracles. Those openings are called as spiracles. The cells exchange O2, CO2 directly with the air in the spiracles present on the insect body. So here in the figure you can see this is an insect, and you can see there are different opening here. The side of the body, they are having small opening that is called as the spiracles, and inside the body there are the tracheal tubes, right? Inside the body there are the tracheal tubes. So when air get entered through this spiracle inside the tracheal tube, you can see the enlarged one here. This is the one of the opening of the spiracle, and through this tube the air get enter inside it, and when air get inside it, the exchange of gases occur directly through this tube with the hemocoel or the muscles that is attached with it, right? So option A is absolutely correct. Let us move to our next question. Which of the following does not occur during breathing, right? NCERT section 14.1.1, this question has been taken, and let us see the option for this question. A, brings the air to the body temperature. B, warms up the air. C, diffusion of gases. And D, cleans up the air, right? Which of the following does not occur during breathing, right? Let us see the correct answer of this question. So, see, diffusion of gases. Diffusion of gases is a physical phenomenon that takes place between the tissue and the blood vessels. This is occurring between the tissue and the blood vessels, right? So, diffusion of gases does not occur during breathing. This is not the breathing, right? It takes place where? Between the tissue and the blood vessels. So, breathing air to the body, temperature and its cleaning and warming occur during the process of breathing, right? So whatever the warming of the blood is there, right, making taking the air to the temperature, cleaning of it, all it happens during the breathing process. But the diffusion of gases that occur two places, one in the alveoli region and the blood capillaries that is present outer to the alveoli, and one in the at the tissue, one at the tissue level, right? So let's have a next question. A person suffers punctures in his chest cavity in an accident without any damage to the lungs. Its effect could be, right? There is a puncture, means that get an opening in the chest, but there is no damage to the lungs. Then what effect could be? Let us see the options. A, reduce the breathing rate. B, rapid increase in breathing rate. No change in respiration. D, cessation of breathing, right? Cessation means stoppage of the breathing. Okay, so this question is coming from the NCERT section 14.1.1, right? Let us see the answer of this question. So D, cessation of breathing. When the chest cavity get punctured in, suppose in an insect, in an accident, then what could happen? So breathing occur due to the pressure difference between the lungs and atmosphere, right? There is a difference of pressure. You must have negative air pressure, and due to that negative air pressure, the air moves inside the lungs, right? So breathing occur due to the pressure difference between the lungs and the atmosphere. Now the lungs maintain the lower pressure than the atmosphere, and that is called as negative pressure. That lungs always want to maintain the lower pressure, and that is why uh, the air which is present in the atmosphere is having the higher pressure, so it will move inside the lungs. So this is the mechanism how our exchange of gases take place, like when the time at the time of breathing. So the chest puncture disrupt its the normal pressure difference, right? So which lead to the cessation of breathing. But when your this chest will get punctured, so at that time you will not be able to maintain this negative pressure, and at that time the exchange of gases will be difficult. So there is a cessation of breathing. So at that particular time we should reach exactly to the emergency in any particular hospital, and there you can get a proper uh, oxygen, right? A proper oxygen with the help of a machine. And later on, when your like healing is there, there will be the surgery and that punctured will be removed, right? And then again this negative pressure can be maintained in the chest, then you can breathe it with your own, right? Yes, but this all which you have written here, this happens at the time of taking medication in the hospital. So whenever this happens, the person should immediately reach to the hospital, right? So this maintenance of this negative pressure is very, very important. Next question. It is known that the exposure to carbon monoxide is harmful to the animals because. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.1.1. Options are as follows. A. It reduces carbon dioxide transport. B. It reduces O2 transport. C. It increases CO2 transport. And D. It increases O2 transport. So why it is harmful that we should not be exposed to the carbon monoxide? Let us see the answer of this question. Yes, B option is correct, and many of the students have given this particular answers, right? So your answers are correct. So let us see the answer here. B is the correct answer. It reduces O2 transport. So oxygen binding with the hemoglobin is reversible, right? Once it get combined with the oxygen, it is called as oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin, right? So it is reversible, and when it reaches to the tissue, okay, the oxygen get detached by from the hemoglobin, and this oxygen reaches to the tissue. That was like demanded by our body, that oxygen should reach to the tissue, and this hemoglobin was helping in that. Once it reaches to the tissue, it give all its oxygen there, and it become free there, so it again come back to get another lot of oxygen from the lungs. But sometime what happened, we are exposed to the carbon monoxide. It is not always by having the smoke of the cigarette, but sometime there is a burning, and if the oxygen is not suitably getting for the burning process, at that time carbon monoxide is there, and sometime we can uh, get trapped in any fire accident or something like that. So at that time, if the proper oxygen is not available for the burning there, so they can give rise, that particular accident place can give rise carbon monoxide, and if we breathe at that time, the carbon monoxide get enter inside our body, reaches to lungs, and their exchange of gases takes place. So available hemoglobin will get combined with the carbon monoxide. So that, okay, now oxygen when combined with hemoglobin, it forms oxyhemoglobin very easily, right? So Hb plus O2 gives HbO2. But once it combined with carbon monoxide, what happens? The carbon monoxide forms a very strong bonds with hemoglobin. It is not reversible, as we see in the case of oxygen, that once it get combined with the hemoglobin, it get detached also. So it is a reversible type of combination. But here, in the case of carbon monoxide, it is not reversible. So it creates carboxyhemoglobin, right? And bond is nearly irreversible. So that hemoglobin will not be able to be free further to transport or to take the oxygen and make it reach to the tissue. So that will be suffered. It means that that hemoglobin is destroyed, that is of no use. So Hb plus Co, it will forms HbCO, right? So carbon monoxide prevent oxygen from binding to hemoglobin. It will not allow the further oxygen get binds with the hemoglobin, right? So it can cause suffocation because you require oxygen. Oxygen is there, but your hemoglobin is not free to take up that oxygen. It all got combined with the carbon monoxide. So it is having a very negative effect on our health. So potentially fatal due to the oxygen deprivation, right? So at that particular time, it could happen that our that condition could be fatal and we could die. So it is always like when you are in a situation that you there is a fire and you are there, so you are always allowed to move by creeping there or crawling there and come out of that fireplace, because when the gas is there, it always move upward, and when you are in standing position, you can easily take this carbon monoxide or whatever the harmful gas is there. So if you creep and crawl downward on the land and move out from that situation, you will not be able to take that harmful gases, and you can prevent yourself from that, right? Next question. Mark the two straight statement among the following with reference to the normal breathing. You have to mark which is related to the normal breathing. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.2. Let us see the options. A. Inspiration is a passive process, whereas expiration is active. B. Inspiration is a active process, whereas expiration is passive. C. Inspiration and expiration are active processes. D. Inspiration and expiration are passive processes. Let's see the answer of this question. The correct answer is B option. Inspiration is an active process, whereas expiration is a passive, right? Let us see the explanation of it. Inspiration. What is the meaning of it? Inspiration means breathing in. When you breathe in, the air you take inside your lungs. That is an active process. How? It requires muscle contraction. There is a contraction of muscles. Uses diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles are present in between the ribs. In between the ribs. And they get contract by the contraction of this external intercostal muscle. It get contract and move upward and outward. All the ribs moves upward and outward. So your thorax cavity get increased. Not only this, the muscles that are attached to the lower of the diaphragm, they also get contracted. And normally the diaphragm is in the dome shape, so it gets stretched downward by the contraction of the muscle attached to the abdomen, and all this diaphragm moves downward, making it almost a flat position. So this also helping to make or increase the volume of the chest cavity, right? So this is using the muscle contraction. It means it is using the energy, ATP, right? So here in the figure also you can see this diaphragm is moving downward, right, at the time of contraction with the help of these muscles, and you can see that intercostal muscles when contract, the ribs and the sternum is the bone which is present at the chest in the front region, right? And all the ribs are attached to it. Not all the ribs, there are some false ribs also, they are, or the floating ribs, they are not attached, but yes, most of the ribs are attached. And so this moves upward, and this arrow show moving upward and down, upward and outward, whereas this diaphragm is moving downward, making the volume of the thorax increased. So this is an active process, right? Now expiration, what happens in expiration? Breathing out. This is a passive process because natural muscle relaxation. Here for the relaxation no energy is required. It get when there is not using any energy, so they go to its original position, relaxing mode. Happens through the elastic recoil. there is a process when the muscles get contracted, it comes to their original position. So for reaching to its original position, they do not require any energy. So no muscle effort needed here to bringing back or muscles to its original position. There is no effort needed, right? So here the air expelled from the lungs, because the pressure that is created by this, you can see this. Now diaphragm is moving to upward, making it to the original place, making its original place, reaching its original place. So it apply pressure to the thoracic region, and the ribs and the sternum, they also move downward because the external intercostal muscles, they are in the relaxing mode. So this all move downward, making the volume of the thoracic reduced. Thorax cavity get reduced volume wise, and all the air which is filled in the lungs, which is carbon dioxide, it moves outward from the lungs. Next question. A person breathe in some volume of air by the forced inspiration after having a forced expiration. This quantity of air taken in is. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.2.1. Let us see the options. A. Total lung capacity. B. Tidal volume. C. Vital capacity. And D. Inspiratory capacity. Let us see the answer of this question. Vital capacity is the correct answer. Option C. The maximum volume of air, that a person can breathe in after forced expiration. If you have read that volumes and capacities, then only you will be able to answer this question, right? The maximum volume of air that a person can breathe in after forced expiration, when forceful expiration you do, and whatever the air you breathe in at that time. The maximum volume of air that a person can breathe out after the forced inspiration, that is called as vital capacity. So VC, vital capacity, is equal to IRV, inspiratory reserve volume, plus ERV, expiratory reserve volume, and plus tidal volume. The value of the capacity becomes 3400 ml to 4800 ml. Tidal volume of air inspired or expired during the normal breathing. That is the normal breathing. And total lung capacity is the volume of air present in the lungs and respiratory passages after maximum inspiration. Inspiratory capacity, it is the total volume of air that a person can inspire after normal inspiration. So these are the other option which has been given in the question option. Let us see the another question. Mark the incorrect statement in context to O2 binding to hemoglobin, when the oxygen binding to the hemoglobin. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.4.1. Let us see the option. A. Higher pH. B. Lower temperature. C. Lower partial pressure of carbon dioxide. And D. Higher partial pressure of oxygen. Let us see the answer of this question. So option A is correct. Higher pH. Factors that affect oxygen hemoglobin binding by increasing its affinity are increased partial pressure of oxygen and decreased partial pressure of carbon dioxide, right? High hydrogen ion concentration leading to low pH and low temperature. So the correct option is higher pH. Because the question was asked incorrect statement, right? So higher pH is not required, low pH is required. right? And the other thing, increase partial pressure of oxygen, decrease partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So that was also there in two of the options. And another is increased partial pressure of oxygen, decrease partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and low temperature. So the incorrect one is higher pH. Let us move to our next question. Mark the correct pair of muscles involved in the normal breathing in humans. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.2.1. Let us see the options. A. External and internal intercostal muscles. B. Diaphragm and abdominal muscles. C. Diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. D. Diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Let us see the answer of this question. See, the correct answer is option C, diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. The pair of muscles that are involved in the normal breathing in human. Just now in our one of the previous question, we have seen this. See, these two muscles work together during normal inhalation, means inspiration. When you inhale, when you take oxygen inside your lung, so the diaphragm contracts and flattens. So here the diaphragm, the muscles that are attached to the diaphragm are involved, making the shape of the diaphragm, okay, to the flattened one. Here the diaphragm becomes flattened. So the muscles that are attached to the diaphragm, they get contracted and bring back the dome shaped diaphragm to the flattened form. External intercostal muscles contract lift the rib cage, and the external intercostal muscle, when these contract, what they do, they lift the rib cage, move upward and outward. So the two muscles are here that are involved for normal breathing, right? So here you can see the two muscles. So these two muscles work together during normal inhalation. This combination increases the thoracic cavity volume. Yes, the movement of the diaphragm and the contraction of the external intercostal muscles uplift the this thorax region, the rib and the sternum, right? And that movement, these two movement increases the thoracic cavity volume. So that creates a negative pressure, because if you know the volume increases there, right, the pressure become low, negative pressure that draws air into the lung during the normal breathing, because the oxygen is more, or the air is more in the outer atmosphere as compared to the thoracic region. So air move from the atmosphere to the inner thoracic region. Next question. Which of the following statement about the exchange of gases in the lung are correct? This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.3 and 14.4.2. Let us see the statement. First, oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the blood due to the higher partial pressure of oxygen in the blood. Second statement, carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli due to the higher partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the blood. Third, the diffusion membrane consists of the squamous epithelium of alveoli, the endothelium of the capillaries, and the basement substance. And fourth, the solubility of the carbon dioxide in blood is significantly lower than that of the oxygen. Now the options are as follows. A, first and second only. B, second and third only. C, first, second and fourth only. And option D, all of the above. Let us see the answer of this question. So option B is correct. Second statement and third statement are correct. First one, oxygen diffuses from the alveoli where its partial pressure is higher into the blood where its partial pressure is lower. This is incorrect, right? Oxygen diffuses from alveoli into the blood. Yes, it is correct. But regarding the partial pressure, it is incorrect. Correct one. Carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood where its partial pressure is high into the alveoli where its partial pressure is lower. That is the correct one. Next one, the diffusion membrane, which is the site of gas exchange, is made up of three layers. We are having three layers, right? Endothelium cells of the capillaries. And then there is a squamous epithelium layer of the alveoli, and in between these two, there is a basement substance. So three layers are there. So this is the correct one. Incorrect, fourth one, carbon dioxide is actually more soluble in blood than oxygen, approximately 20 to 25 times more soluble. This is, the data is incorrect, the number is incorrect, but yes, it is the more soluble, right? Now, next question is here. Which of the following statement about the respiratory volume and capacities are correct? This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.2.1. First, tidal volume is the volume of air inspired or expired during normal breathing. Second, inspiratory reserve volume is the additional volume of air that can be forcibly inhaled after a normal inspiration. Third, expiratory reserve volume is the additional volume of air that can be forcibly exhaled after a normal expiration. And fourth one is the vital capacity is the total volume of air present can expire after the maximum inspiration. The option for this question are as follows: A, first and second only; B, first, second and third only; C, second, third and fourth only; and option D, all of the above. Let us see the answer. So the correct answer is option D. All of the above are correct. Correct. The tidal volume is indeed the amount of air moved in and out during the normal breath. Second, inspiratory reserve volume is the extra air that can be inhaled beyond a normal breath, right? And this expiratory reserve volume is the extra air that can be exhaled beyond a normal breathing. And fourth one is also correct. Vital capacity, that is the maximum amount of air that can be moved in and out of the lungs during the forced breathing. Next question. This is the match the column type of question. So column 1 and column 2 are there. Let us see what are the items given in the column 1. A, emphysema; B, asthma; C, hemoglobin; and D, diffusion. Column 2. First, inflammation of the respiratory tract. Second, difficulty in breathing due to alveolar damage. C, respiratory pigment. And fourth is the movement of gases from high to low concentration. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.3, 14.4.1 and 14.6. Let us see the options available: A, B, C and D, that you have to match from the items given in the column 1 and column 2, and then you have to check which of the answer is correct from the given option, right? Let us see the answer. Okay, the correct answer is option A, right? A. Emphysema. This is a condition that involves the damage of the alveoli. Here, the alveoli get damaged and making it difficult to exhale and leading to the shortness of breath, right? So, here the correct match is with difficulty in breathing due to the alveolar damage. Asthma. This is characterized by the inflammation and the narrowing of the airways, resulting in wheezing and breathing difficulties. Right. So here we face a lot of difficulty in breathing if the person is a asthmatic, if the person is dealing with the asthma disease. Options, this C1, hemoglobin. This is a respiratory pigment that helps in the carrying oxygen and the carbon dioxide, right? And diffusion, this is the process by which gases move across the respiratory membrane due to the concentration gradient, along with the concentration gradient. So here we end up this MCQs. Now we are having a very short answer type of question. So here the first question, define the following terms. These questions are, these like terms are coming from the NCERT section 14.2.1 and 14.6. What are the terms? A, tidal volume, B, residual volume, and C, asthma. Let us see the answer. How we can define these three different terms. Now, the quantity of air the lung can receive, hold or expel under the difficult condition is called the pulmonary volume. And the combination of two or more pulmonary volume is called pulmonary capacity, because the two of the terms, that is the tidal volume and residual volume, it is related to this pulmonary volume and pulmonary capacities. So this is the thinking process. Now let us go to the answer. Tidal volume. What is the tidal volume? Tidal volume is the volume of air inspired or expired during the normal breathing. So when you are doing normal breathing, you are sitting at a place and taking in air and taking out air normally. So that is called as tidal volume. This is about 500 ml in a healthy man, and that inspire or expire about 6,000 to 800 ml per minute. If you multiply it with the number, so there you can get with 60 seconds are there, na? 60 seconds. So when you multiply it with, you can get this answer. Residual volume. This is the volume of air remaining in the lungs even after the forcible expiration. So here what happened, when you apply force to take out all the air that is present in the lung, is still there are some air that is left in the lungs. Our lung never become opaque. It is not, you can say that it is not a time that there is no air present in the lungs. Some air is still there even after your forceful expiration. So that amount of, or that volume of air, that is called as residual volume. And it is around 1100 ml to 1200 ml. Asthma, it is a disease that caused due to the allergic reaction to the foreign substances. Sometimes foreign substances means the substance from the outer environment that could reach to your lung. We could be like allergens to, there are some pollen grains, there are some air particles that are as a pollutant, right? So if they get enter inside our body, there are some allergic reactions that could lead to asthma. The major symptoms are difficulty in breathing causing wheezing and coughing. A lot of coughing at that particular time during the asthmatic attack. So due to the inflammation of bronchi, what happened in this asthma? Our bronchi get inflamed. There is a swelling, right? So this lead to not having a proper breathing, and our breathing is affected, right? Next question. A fluid filled double membranous layer surrounds the lung. Name it and mention its important function. Very, very important question. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.1.1. Let us see the answer of this question. What is the name of that particular membrane that surrounds the lungs? Let us see the answer. The fluid-filled double membranous layer that surrounds the lung is called as pleura or the pleural membrane. And the fluid is pleural fluid in between them. So there is a wall of the lung, there is a membrane, and between these two, there is a fluid filled that is called as pleural fluid. And I've told you earlier also that some organs are very delicate in our body. Very delicate, like your lung is delicate, our brain is very delicate organ, our heart is also very delicate organ. So we need a lot of protection. That is why you see your brain is placed in the skull region. In the skull, it is protected by the very hard bone skull, right? And similarly, our heart and lungs, they are present where? In the rib cage. Not only this, your brain, yes, meninges, 3 layer, very good, very good. And not only this, layers, the brain, the outer covering of this brain, and between the meninges there are cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebral fluid is there. Cerebral fluid is there, right? Now, coming to the heart, your heart wall, and there is again a membrane, pericardial membrane, and there also pericardial fluid is there. Why all these delicate organ is having some membrane and fluid? Because if there is some pressure applied from the outer environment, this fluid minimizes the pressure. It minimizes the pressure. It spread all the pressure to along, and all the pressure is not confined to one particular place. In this way, they are protecting our organ, right? Coming to this, pleural is the membrane, and there is a pleural fluid. Now, function: the outer pleural membrane is in close contact with the thoracic lining. There is a thorax lining, so it is very close to it, right? Here you can see the yellow color, this yellow color, right? Pleural membranes. Not only this, yes, it is frictionless. It allows the frictionless movement of the lungs. Yes, your lung is having movement. Alveoli, they get squeezed and they get filled with the air. So at that time there is some sort of movement. So this fluid is also helping in the movement of the lungs. So outer pleural membrane is very close contact with the thoracic lining. The inner pleural membrane is in contact with the lung surface, and these collectively reduce the friction on the lung surface, right? Next question is here. Name the primary site of exchange of gases in our body. Primary site they are asking. And this question is coming from the NCERT section 14.3. Let us see the answer. The primary site for the exchange of gases in our body is alveoli. Yes, this is the primary site where the exchange of gases is taking inside our body. So there are 300 millions of alveoli collectively in both the lungs. You can imagine what a large number of alveoli are there. And these alveoli are very thin wall consisting of the squamous epithelium. Yes, the very thin layer, the squamous epithelium is there. Right? You can see this. This is the alveolar, one of the alveoli having the alveolar cavity inside it, and inside the air get entered and filled it. Now, if you see the wall of the alveoli, it is made up of the squamous epithelium, right? And this is the one of the capillary that is running all over this alveoli, and they are having the blood inside it. Now, if you see the wall of this capillary, it is made up of endothelium blood capillary. Oh, a substance that is called as a basement substance is present in between. So three layers are there, and it is very, very thin layer. So the air can move from this alveoli. Which air? Oxygen. Oxygen moves to the this blood. So here you can see the exchange of gases taking places at the alveoli region. Now, with extensive network of blood capillaries, yes, a very extensive network of blood capillaries are there. So, the presence of blood capillaries in the alveoli result in easy exchange of gases. Yes, they are helping in a very, very easy exchange of gases, right? Because you can see that it's a very 1 millimeter thick, and the three walls, alveoli wall, capillary wall, and the basement substance, right? Each alveolus is also called as miniature lung, right? Next question. Cigarette smoking causes emphysema. Give reason. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.6. Let us see the answer. Emphysema is a chronic disorder of the respiratory system wherein inflammation or abnormal distension of the alveolar wall occurs, right? So here there is a damage of the respiratory system. There is an inflation or abnormal distension of the alveolar wall. So it is directly affecting to the wall of the alveoli, right? Cigarette smoking and inhalation of the other smoke or the toxic substances over a period of time causes damage of the septa between the alveoli, right? There are many septa that is attaching the many numbers of alveoli. So that septa get damaged, and ultimately it damage the alveoli. And it is elastic tissue that is replaced by the connective tissue in the lungs. There is no elasticity now. Elasticity is very important, that allows the movement in the lungs, that allow the movements in the alveoli. So it is replaced by the connective tissue. Hence, the respiratory surface decreases. The respiratory surface decreases and thus causing the emphysema. So it causes shortness of breath. You have to breathe very fast, right? Breathe is very short. Production of sputum. A lot of sputum comes out from your, like, from the chest. And chronic bronchitis is there. So these are the effect of this emphysema. Next question. What is the amount of O2 supplied to tissue through every 100 ml of oxygenated blood under the normal physiological condition? This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.4.1. Let us see the answer of this question. So every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of O2 to the tissue under the normal physiological condition. Yes, this is very, very important line. Only 5 ml of oxygen is delivered by 100 ml of blood in normal condition. Now, this is a short answer type question. So, first question from the short answer type. Let us see that. State the different modes of carbon dioxide transport in blood. There are different modes. So, we have to tell all the three different modes. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.4.2. So carbon dioxide is carried out by the blood in three different forms. Yes. So in dissolved state, under normal temperature and pressure, about 7% of carbon dioxide is carried by the physical solution, that is by the plasma. As a carbamino compound, carbon dioxide binds directly with the hemoglobin. It binds directly with the hemoglobin to form the unstable compound that is called as carbamino compounds, CO2. About 23% of carbon dioxide is transported in this particular form, right? And when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is very high and the partial pressure of oxygen is low, as in the tissue, more binding of carbon dioxide occur. And when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low and partial pressure of oxygen is high in the alveoli, as a tissue dissociation, CO2 form the carbaminohemoglobin takes place. In this way, HbO2 plus CO2 is there. So O2 is given and with the hemoglobin, carbon dioxide get combined. Now let us see the third mode as a bicarbonate ion. This is also transported as a bicarbonate ions. So CO2 react with water to form the carbonic acid H2CO3 in the presence of carbonic anhydrase in RBC, and H2CO3 dissociate in hydrogen and bicarbonate ion. Now this bicarbonate ion is expelled out from the RBC to the plasma. So here you can see carbonic in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. Carbon dioxide combined with H2O, it forms H2CO3, carbonic acid. Now carbonic acid is dissociated in hydrogen ion and HCO3 ion. The carbonic anhydrase reaction mainly occur in the RBC because this enzyme is present in the RBC only, and it contains high concentration of enzyme carbonic anhydrase and minute quantity of it is present in the plasma. Next question, compare the oxygen diffusion rate of carbon dioxide through diffusion membrane per unit difference in the partial pressure is much higher. Explain. This question is coming from the NCERT section 14.4.1. Let us see the answer. Diffusion capacity can be defined as the volume of gas that diffuses through the membrane per minute for a pressure difference of 1 mmHg. Right? This is normally we are comparing the diffusion. Now it is further dependent on the solubility of the diffusing gases. There are different diffusing gases, so the solubility is also considered here. Now answer, as the solubility rate of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of O2, the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much higher as compared to that of O2. Now, long answer type question. Explain the transport of O2 and CO2 between the alveoli and the tissue with the help of diagram. So, let us see the answer. So, for this answer, you have to go through this diagram. You can see this is the alveoli and this is the blood capillaries. So you can see the partial pressure of oxygen is 104 mmHg in the atmosphere and PCO2 is 40 mm, right? So here the carbon dioxide comes out of the because it is having 45, so it will move out of this pulmonary artery and reaches to the lung, and oxygen comes to the pulmonary artery. So here you can see it got red, oxygenated, and when it moved to the systemic circulation, systemic arteries, you can see it is having 95 mmHg of oxygen partial pressure, and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 mmHg. Now when it reaches to the tissue, the oxygen moves to the tissue, as it is having a very less partial pressure of oxygen in the tissue, and carbon dioxide is more, that is 45, so it will move to the this blood, and blood becomes deoxygenated in the capillaries. Next question, explain the mechanism of breathing with the neat label sketches. So this question is coming from the NCERT section 14.2. Let us see the diagram. So mechanism of breathing that involve the two stages, inspiration during the atmospheric air in drawn, and an expiration by which is alveolar air is released out. So here you can see the two thing is happening, the contraction of this muscles pulling the diaphragm downward, making it flat, and intercostal muscles when contract, it makes the ribs move upward and outward. So increasing the thoracic cavity, you have to draw this arrow. This arrow is very, very important. It shows the air entering inside the thoracic region. Now when the ribs goes downward in the relaxing mode, and when this muscles that is attached to the diaphragm also get contracted, the diaphragm moves upward, taking it a original dome shaped, right? And you can see the thoracic region is having a less volume, and the air moves out of this region, right? So the movement of air into and out of the lung is carried by the creating pressure gradient, right? Pressure is there, negative pressure in first position, and the lungs and the atmosphere that helps the diaphragm and intercostal muscles to contract and relax. So this is all about today's session. Thank you very much for attending today's session.